years or so, but I'm a lifelong vegetarian, but sort of like, if any of you were here to hear Barbara O'Neill, I had a similar experience where after my first child was born, things were not going well, constant earaches, all these issues, and going to the doctor didn't seem to help us either. And so I thought, man, I got to figure something out. This kid's just sick all the time. So that really caused an awakening in my life. And so I've been able to share a lot of what we do in terms of diet and stuff at home with other people. And I try to make the cooking classes as cheap as possible. Food demonstrations, we'll actually be demonstrating a number of recipes that you can take home and that you can try there that day at the cooking class. But food that's as cheap as possible, as easy to do as possible, as tasty as possible, and as healthy as possible. So my goal, because if it's not easy, I'm not going to do it. And if it's cheap, I'm not going to do it because I'm cheap. So, we try to make it as practical as can be. So I hope y'all will come out and eat with us and have a good time.
Thank you very much. We're looking forward to that. April 29. Yes.
I don't mean to interrupt, but we're about to have those depression recovery meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And we think, depression, anxiety, but man, it's good for, Jesus said, I came to bring life and to bring it more abundantly. This gives you a more abundant life. It's just hands-on stuff that everybody can do. And
all right.
Hopefully we'll start tomorrow.
Yes, hopefully.
In the weather.
Hopefully. So her point is the depression and anxiety recovery program is good just for everybody. Yeah, to give you more abundant life. Yes. Okay, would you like to open with prayer? And then while they're still figuring out our technical difficulties.
I think they figured it out.
We're done. Yay.
Well, welcome everyone. I know you're going to be blessed by today's presentation. I'm not sure if other people are going to come, but I want to make sure that you are safe. So we're going to start in a couple of minutes after I pray, and then we're going to try to get you out by 5 o'clock as the temperature begins to drop. And I want to pray that God will keep you safe when you drive home. So let's pray. Father in heaven, we want to thank you for your tremendous love for each and every one of us. And you have given us the ultimate gift, your beloved Son, where we find salvation in his holy history, his life and death. We thank you for that. Lord, we're also thankful as we read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you spent the majority of your time ministering to the sick, and you have been ministering to us through your servant, Dr. Lee Wellard. We are learning so many wonderful things, and Lord, we want to, first of all, implement these things into our everyday life, and then share the blessings that we receive from them. So I pray that your Holy Spirit will be present. And Lord, keep everyone safe. Maybe some are traveling here right now. Keep them safe as they're traveling. And then keep us safe as we travel home. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, welcome back. It's great to be here. Thank you for braving the cold. And I hope that we can warm you up a little bit on the inside. We're going to make some herbal tea through the program so that you can try. And I mentioned last time that we've got some tea that will take 5 years off your lifespan. So we're going to give that to you today. Is that all right? Okay. You got looking 5 years younger. All right? Okay. All right. All right, I like to add a little humor to a presentation. So I'll be covering a lot of different herbs today. I'll be covering a lot of conditions, but since we're a small group, I didn't mind opening it up for you to ask me to cover a specific condition while I'm doing the presentation. I'll try to weave that in. So if there's, I'm sure there'll be some I'll be doing anyway, but there's always different things that bring people that they want to specifically get help with. So is there anyone that has a condition they want me to cover briefly during the presentation? Yes?
Okay, so I'm on medication for 3 different things. One is COPD.
Okay.
The other is the thyroid.
Thyroid?
And then I have neuropathy in my arms.
Okay, all right.
Diabetic, so.
Okay, we can cover those. That's no problem. We were actually going to cover those anyway, so thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Bruising. Okay, yes, we'll cover.
That's it.
We'll cover bruising. No problem. Anyone else? Yes.
Type 2 diabetes.
Type 2 diabetes? Okay.
Warfarin, being on blood thinner.
Oh, warfarin. Okay, got it. So substitutes for blood thinning. Okay.
Wondering about, you talked about the acid balance, and,
Okay.
and generally speaking, when you have acid reflux, it's low acid rather than high acid. And just wondering, because I've noticed different things, if I'm sick and I take a lot of vitamin C, if it's tomato season, I'm eating lots of tomatoes.
Okay.
I get this whole sciatic nerve thing, and now it's not going away, but it used to be magnified during those times. And so I thought, okay, acid, what part is it playing?
Okay.
So,
Acid, alkaline, how that affects our health. Okay. All right. Yes.
Degenerative disease.
Degenerative diseases. Okay. And panic attacks. All right. That's all right. All right. Degenerative diseases. Okay.
Balancing hormones?
Balancing hormones. Okay. Were you here when I talked about that briefly? Okay. You want me to talk more about it? Okay. All right. Yes, we can cover that. Balancing hormones. That's it? Everyone?
Following up with her balancing hormones is balancing hormones after menopause.
After menopause.
Because
Okay.
I think that would be different than before menopause.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good one. All right. Make sure you hold me to these because I may forget some of these. All right. So we're going to finish up about 7:30. Is that okay? All right. I scared Pastor David for a minute there. All right. Well, I am just so thankful. It's great to be. I feel you guys are just kindred spirits, and it's always a blessing to be among friends. And I just wanted to start by sharing with you a story, a little parable of the Chinese bamboo tree. Anyone seen the Chinese bamboo tree? Yeah, it's pretty amazing. When we lived in the Philippines, we had bamboo all around us. And this bamboo is very thick, very, very strong. I mean, a gorilla couldn't break this stuff. It's just very, very powerful and dense material. But it's interesting, if you were to take a cutting of this, a foot of the bamboo, and plant it in the soil, you would have to water it and fertilize it for 5 years, and it wouldn't grow at all in 5 years. You wouldn't see it grow an inch. But on the 5th year, in the space of 6 weeks, it grows up to 90 feet tall. Yeah, in 6 weeks. Now, the question is, did it grow 90 feet tall in 6 weeks, or did it take 5 years? It took 5 years. But you didn't see the growth till the 5th year in that 6 weeks. But if you had the eyes of faith, you would have seen it was growing the whole time. It was just growing underground. It was growing sideways. It was sending tap roots down so that it was ready for that incredible growth. And the reason I bring this up is because sometimes we're looking for fast growth, but we're not willing to endure the patient trial to get to that position of health. And this is often what leads people to quick fixes, quick solutions, all right? And, you know, there are times where the body needs immediate help, and we want to be sensitive of that. But if you've had a chronic disease for 10, 20, 30 years, don't expect, take a pill, wake up the next day, it's gone. It doesn't work that way. We have to patiently endure the race, as Jesus put it, he that endureth to the end, right, shall be saved. There's a lot of power that God has placed in the plants, in the seeds. This is actually a plant called chaparral. Has anyone seen this? Sorry, shepherd's purse. I'm sorry, it's shepherd's purse. Anyone seen this grow out of a rock? Anyone see a tree grow out of a rock? It starts with a first shoot called a radical. If you've seen a tree growing out of a rock, you probably were pretty impressed. There was a little seed that got down in that crack and it found some moisture and it was able to develop and grow. Well, the thing is that the tree wasn't formed in the crack. It actually made the crack. The seed made the crack. And that first shoot of the seed is what we call a radical. Ever been called radical before? It's actually a good term. See, a radical doesn't let anything get in the way of its growth. And it's completely in the dark. But it senses light beyond the darkness. And it sends out a root. And it anchors itself. And then it penetrates through any rock it needs to. And then it takes off. You can put asphalt over some plants, and it will recycle the concrete back into the soil. If you didn't have Roundup, yes. So Jesus spoke often about the power of plants and the seed. The Bible says the base things of the world and the things which are despised has God chosen. Yea, and the things which are not to bring to pass things, to bring to naught things that are. And so Jesus spoke about the mustard seed. Remember, the mustard seed is the smallest of herbs. It's the smallest of seeds. In fact, I had a friend of mine, she traveled to Israel, and she sent me a mustard seed. And it was so small, she had to tape it to a piece of tape on a piece of paper so it wouldn't blow away, and it was as small as a grain of sand. And it grows up to 300 feet wide. It's incredible. Some of these trees, they cover 5 acres of land. That's how big they are. They're amazing. So there is power. God has placed power in the humble things, the seeds, the plants, the foods that we eat. And yet we often overlook the simplicity of those elements that he has given us to use as medicines and foods. Many of the foods he's given us, or the plants he's given us, have powerful properties to save our lives. And I'll go over some of these. I like to use plants also for emergency first aid. Anyone here use herbs for first aid? Okay, so let me ask you a question. What would you do if you went home tonight and a loved one had a heart attack? Besides call 911, besides scream, what would you do? Would you know anything that could save that person's life? CPR, yes, CPR, absolutely. I mean, total favor of CPR. Aspirin. Huh? Cayenne pepper, yes. Yes, in fact, you can go online, you can read listen to people's stories about the cayenne, how it's helped with heart attacks, with strokes. Even some paramedics use it for internal hemorrhage. Yes, because cayenne is such an amazing healer and blood facilitator. It stimulates blood flow. And if you have hemorrhaging, get this, it will cauterize blood vessels within 60 seconds. Yeah, it will burn blood vessels that are damaged, but it won't burn healthy blood vessels. Only damaged blood vessels. you take it internally. Now, of course, someone having a heart attack, sometimes they're not even conscious, so you won't be able to do it in that situation. But a lot of people having heart attacks, they're still conscious. In fact, some people have heart attacks, they're not even aware they're having a heart attack. I had a lady call me not so long ago. She said, I listened to your lecture on cayenne. She said, I had a heart attack and I took some cayenne. And she said, by the time the paramedics came, I didn't need their services. But cayenne is a vasodilator. So if you have a clot, it can actually help dilate those blood vessels in that area that's clotted. And in many times without moving the clot, it can actually cause blood to go around it. And also, it can help the movement of blood through the capillary beds, so that even if the heart is stopped, there's still a little bit of extra grace in moving the blood through the body. So it's not going to bring someone back from the dead, the next day, but it could give a few more minutes of grace until the paramedics come. So this is something that is powerful. It's good for headaches. It's good for migraines. It speeds up circulation anywhere and everywhere in the body. It can help with colds and flus, arthritis as well. We make a salve and we use cayenne as an infused oil to help with inflammation in the joints. Anyone here know of anyone with arthritis? Okay, so you get some cayenne oil, and you can just use some olive oil, put a little bit of cayenne powder in there, use 1 part cayenne, 5 parts oil, and then you use beeswax. You can get these beeswax pellets. These are really good because they melt very quickly, and use 1 part beeswax and 4 parts oil. 1 part beeswax, 4 parts oil. And then you just melt it. So you put this in a saucepan. I'm going to actually make one of these for you a little bit later. And this is great for pain. Very, very good for pain. And but just be careful with cayenne. Don't put it in sensitive parts of the body. I remember I was flying from America to Japan, and I was on this long flight. It was a 13-hour flight, and my feet were getting cold. So I thought, I'm going to put some cayenne on my feet. I had a cayenne salve with me, so I put some on the end of my feet to warm them up, and I didn't feel anything. And I thought, well, maybe I didn't put enough on. So I got some more, and I put, just really coated my feet, and I didn't feel anything. I thought, maybe this is old. Let me try again. So I got some more on, and I lavished my feet with this cayenne oil. And I didn't realize at the time that sweating activates the capsaicin, right? And the heat. So I didn't feel anything the rest of the flight. But when I got off and I started walking in the airport, I was saying, honey, my feet are warm. And a few steps later, honey, they're hot. Honey, I feel like I'm firewalking. I have my foot in the water fountain of Narita Airport trying to cool them down. The next day, my skin on my bottom of my feet were taken off. Yeah, so don't do that. Don't put cayenne in your eyeballs. Don't get cayenne soap and put it in sensitive parts of your body. Okay. Be careful. Respect cayenne. It's something you don't want to mess with. And so, yeah, but it is amazing. It can help with shingles as well. Yeah, and if you've got cold hands and feet, it's great. If you've got circulation problems, cayenne is amazing. So there are different kinds of heat units, right? So some are more powerful than others. And so we use between 60 and 160,000 heat units. So 60,000 to 160,000 international heat units, right? You can get a lot higher, but it gets a little dangerous, Be careful with using ghost peppers and Carolina Reapers and all that type of thing, it could burn a hole in your stomach. So you don't want to use a fire hydrant when you take cayenne. Okay. All right. Now, anyone interested in how to deal with pain? Yes? Okay, great. All right. So I got onto this years ago. I was looking for what can we use to help with pain relief. You know, what has God got in his pharmacy, natural pharmacy? And so I started doing some research. I came across Jamaican dogwood. And, you know, we like to experiment a little bit, you know. Doctors practice, don't they? You know, they practice on you, right? So we often practice on ourselves, but practice on friends, practice on church people, see how things turn out. Anyway, I had a emergency text message from a wife of a friend of mine, and he just had an accident. So we were up in Michigan at the time, and he was in his house working on cutting some wood, and he had a circular saw, and he was cutting it with one hand and holding the wood and cutting it like this, and it went right in his groin. Yes, this is well, the men cross their legs. Yes. He severed his scrotum. He was 1 millimeter away from severing his femoral artery. And his wife came home. There was blue tape around the house. There was blood all over the floor, and it was a mess. So he was taken away to the ER. And so while they're waiting in the ER, I get this text message, "Have you got anything for pain?" And so I thought to myself, well, if it were me, I'd want at least 2 things. Just in case one didn't work, I want a backup. So I sent him a couple of things. One was the Jamaican dogwood. And he was on the heaviest pain medication they could give him in the hospital. And it wasn't touching it. All right? And he wrote to me a couple of days later, and he said, I'm so thankful you sent me that, because I was able to get off all my pain meds. It really took care of the pain. And he was able to go back to work a few days later. And it was such a relief to know that, you know, in emergencies, there are backups, you know. And we've used it for cancer pain. We've used it for neuralgia. We've used it for severe arthritis pain. We've used it for surgery pain. We've used it for tooth pain. All kinds of pain. And I would say there's not one herb that works 100% of the time for 100% of people, but I would say probably around 90% of the time people get results with it. And what I mean by that, the pain may not go completely away, but it may be bearable, right? It may come from a 9 back to a 6, for example, right? Or 4, something like that. So for some people, the pain went away. For other people, it just made it bearable. So either way, we're thankful, because when you get into pain management, and I learned this from a pain doctor, he said that if at all possible, don't start with pain meds, because what ends up happening is that you have to get stronger and stronger medication, because the pain meds, what they do is they don't decrease your pain, they increase your toleration to pain, all right? And that's a completely different thing. And so that means that when you come off them, then you need a larger amount to get the same effect. And so it leads to more and more hard-hitting opioids that finally end up shooting your kidneys and liver, and it's really hard. And I can appreciate why people take them. I understand pain is very debilitating, but at the same time, if there's some other alternatives that could help. And by the way, the longer you use a herb, the less you need of the herb. Do you know why? Because the body is storing that which you're giving it. Okay? Whereas the longer you take a pharmaceutical medication, the more you need. Why is that? Because it is taking away from the body. It is every drug leads to nutritional deficiencies over time. Okay, and the reason for that is because it requires nutrition to convert it to a metabolite, and then it requires nutrition for that metabolite to get out of the system. So it leads to nutritional deficiencies over time. And so there's, of course, you know, in emergency situations, that's a different story, but for chronic disease, it's leading to more and more severity, okay? And that's why you start with one medication, you go to 2, you go to 4, you go to 8, you know. I've seen people, they've had so much medication, you could literally make breakfast cereal out of their medication. Yes, Marie? This one here, we use it in an extract form, in a liquid form. Jamaican dogwood is actually, as it says, it's from Jamaica. This is not from any dogwood tree, so don't think you can just find this in any dogwood tree. And it's actually the bark. The Jamaican dogwood bark is what you use, and you do a decoction out of it. You bring it to a boil, let simmer for 20 minutes. Someone asked me to talk about bruising. Okay, so this is one of the best things for bruising, arnica. And arnica is a flower, and you can combine this with olive oil, right? And all you have to do is combine the herb. Let's say, okay, here we have some, actually this has been mislabeled here, but this is actually marigold. This is marigold flowers. So let's just say this is arnica. You just put this in a little half pint jar. You know those little pint jars? Half pint jars. They're only about 8 ounces. And then you just put olive oil in that jar. And then you just put the lid on and leave it in a crock pot. That's all you have to do. Leave it overnight at a warm temperature, low temperature, and put some water around that jar and leave it overnight in the pot. And then that will create what's called an infusion. Okay, you'll get the properties from the herb. They will transfer over to the oil. Yes, ma'am.
In what parts? Like how much of the oil?
So you stuff the jar with the flour, and then the remaining space is filled with the oil. Okay, so you'll probably end up with more oil than the flour in there. It's usually around 60-75% is the olive oil. Okay, so arnica is very good for bruising, good for sprains, it's good for wounds. And you can make a salve out of it. You can combine it with some beeswax and make a salve out of that. Lemon balm is excellent for helping with bacterial infections. It's also good for herpes. This is one of the best things for the virus herpes. It supports brain health function. It also is very good for sleep. If you want to go to sleep, it's very good for that. If you have a hyperthyroid situation going on, you may want to use lemon balm. Lemon balm helps to basically reduce the enzyme that actually converts T3 to its active form, and basically it helps it to lower. It's like slowing down the engine of your thyroid gland. So this is really good to suppress an overactive thyroid. If you want to improve the thyroid function, if it's too low, you could try some adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha and rhodiola root. Those are excellent herbs for that. I think we have some here. Okay, let's see here. Oh, we have some Jamaican dogwood as well. Let me pass that around for you guys. If you want to see what that looks like, if you don't mind passing that around. Just don't chew on it. It doesn't taste very good. Okay. It's amazing. It's amazing what plants can do. Anyone have any kidney stones? Any kidney stones? You do? You have kidney stones? Okay, this is the one you want to take. Chancre piedra. It's also known as stonebreaker. Now, so far, over the last several years, everyone I've recommended Chancre piedra to has not had to have surgery for kidney stones. Its other common name is stonebreaker. and you have calcium oxalate, basically that's, it's like stones basically, and it can break it up. It can break those stones up without having to go to surgery. Now, there may be rare instances where people do need surgery. If it's very big, maybe it's very obstructive, it may need some surgery, but why not give it a go? Because let me tell you, surgery is very expensive, and it is a good thing to have if nothing else can do that same job. But if you've got time, why not try it? Chancro Piedra, it's amazing stuff. And you can buy it in the liquid form as well. You can actually, I haven't so much seen it as an extract, more as like a juice type of mixture. So that's really good. And I've been told by ladies that kidney stones are more painful than childbirth. Okay, so yeah, so no fun having kidney stones. So try that. Lemon balm, by the way, is very good for trying to sleep and relax you. It's relaxant. Okay, so it's very calming, and it tastes really nice as well. It helps with blood sugar levels. So if you're diabetic, it can be helpful in that situation. Okay, and then also herbs can be used topically as creams, and I mentioned before about salves. We have liniments as well, ointments that are water-based, and you can, some people even grind up the herb and make it into a paste and put it on their skin. A lot of good beauty products actually are made from flowers, and the best one is clay. Bentonite clay. Actually, the top clay in the world for cosmetics is French clay, because it's a smaller particle, it gets in the pores of the skin better. And has anyone here ever had a facial clay pack? Okay, it feels like a vacuum cleaner on your face. It sucks, and it's very astringent, so it pulls. You can feel the pulling on your skin. In fact, clay is so powerful, if you were to put it in like a saucepan like this, it will pull out the heavy metals into the clay. That's how strong it is. It's incredible. You won't see it, of course, but it will be microscopic. It will be pulling those particles into the clay.
So can you take it internally for chelation of metals?
The best thing I've seen for chelation is not actually clay. It's cilantro and chlorella. Yeah, cilantro and chlorella. Now, if you're going to use clay internally, make sure you use the food-grade clay, because there's sodium bentonite and there's calcium bentonite. And yeah, you want to get the calcium, not the sodium. And I would only advise that under certain conditions. Like, for example, if people have diverticulitis, it's very good for cleaning out those little pockets. But don't use it long term. Certainly don't use it for more than a week, and you have to keep well hydrated if you use clay, because clay is very, very constipating. If you don't have enough clay, you'll have a very hard time going to the restroom. All right, and then we have chamomile. Anyone like chamomile? Chamomile is a great, we can actually put this in some of your tea today. Chamomile is a wonderful flower, and it's got amazing properties to it. It's very, very soothing, it's very healing, it's very relaxing, and it's very good for digestive complaints. And even babies can take this. In fact, if you have a child with colic, for example, and the mother takes the tea and the baby breastfeeds, that will go into the milk and it will help deal with the colic. Yes, so it's very good to settle the stomach. It's very calming, very relaxing. It tastes really good as well. I really like chamomile. And yeah, if you ever get bitten by one of those brown recluse spiders, use chamomile. Yes, it will actually interfere with the the acid that is released by the spider. There's this poisonous acid, and it actually can help break it down and just take some of the effects away. So this is a really good one to help with that. You can put that on topically. Yeah, you can put it on topically. I mean, it's no problem taking it internally as well. So, all right. And then we have a skull cap. That's another excellent one. Very calming. It's good for. This was actually the Chinese skull cap. Was studied in the time of COVID. It was actually there was research on this showing its effectiveness for COVID. However, you can't technically say it helps with COVID. But if you had COVID, you may want to look into it. Okay, is that diplomatic enough? Okay, all right. Usually I say, if it were me, I would do this. You know, if you hear me say that, you know what's going on. Turmeric root. Turmeric root is the most studied herb on the planet. Over 6,000 clinical studies have been done on turmeric root. And it has been studied for every major chronic condition. Diabetes, heart disease, cancer. In fact, many different types of cancer, like leukemia cancer, bowel cancer. In fact, the best cancer it's been shown to be effective for is bowel cancer. Yeah, if you've got someone with bowel cancer, try turmeric root, because actually its properties will go through the bowel and it will take down the swelling, inflammation. It stimulates the immune system. It helps with the neuroendocrine system. It helps with digestion. It helps with blood thinning. It's very nutritious, and it's also very good for detoxification and even wound healing. Now, if you take cayenne powder from the store, you may want to avoid. This is the turmeric powder. If you take it from the store, usually 99% of the time, it's high in lead. And the reason for that is because they dye turmeric with a lead-based dye. And so that gives it its nice bright color. So turmeric will actually lose its color. All right? Like you can see, this has been exposed to the light a little bit, but you can see it's lost some of its color. This is turmeric. Okay, so, which brings me to another point. I never buy herbs from stores for that reason. Not about lead, but because light will destroy every property of the herb. Light, oxygen, moisture, and heat will destroy herbs. And if you have herbs that are over 74 degrees Fahrenheit in your house, it can cause little eggs to hatch. And you can have all these insects come out of your herb. And you thought, how did they get in there? They were already in there, ready to hatch. Just like, the little fireflies. I used to wonder, growing up as a boy, how on earth did these flies get in there? It was sealed. They can't possibly do it. Well, they were already laid. The eggs were laid on the fruit. Yeah, so you have little eggs on leaves, for example, and they can hatch at the right temperature. So
where do we get our cayenne pepper?
Where do you get cayenne pepper from? Okay, well, let me tell you some of the sources where I buy my herbs from. One of the places I love to buy from is Mountain Rose Herbs. Mountain Rose Herbs. They're over in Oregon, state of Oregon. And Mountain Rose, R-O-S-E, herbs. And also, they're all organic. They have the highest organic standard of any company with herbs. So they're really, really good for that. And then we also buy from Star West Botanicals. Star West Botanicals. So Star West, S-T-A-R, and West. West, W-E-S-T. Botanicals. Yeah, Botanicals. So that they do have products that are not all organic, but we just buy organic from them. mountain rose are all organic. So all of our herbs that we buy are organic, and they're used for our herbal extracts. But there's another type of qualification of herb that you don't want to rule out either. It's not organic and it's not conventional. It's what we call wildcraft herbs. Okay, so wildcraft herbs are herbs that are picked naturally from the wild. Okay, and often they're some of the best, because when you have a herb that's put in a nice environment and it's all cozy and it's got all organic material and everything's kept away from all the pests, that it doesn't put so much of the energy towards its own phytochemistry. But a lot of the herbs that are actually in the field, they get eaten a little bit and they get attacked, and they develop more strength, right? Because it's just like the saying, if whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So you say you have a little rosemary plant, and the deer comes along, starts munching that rosemary plant. Well, the rosemary plant is going to send out these little signals in the air. They're like little pheromones, and they're sort of like a text message to all the other plants. And they say, "Hey, buddy, you're next. Get ready." Okay. So then they turn their energy into their protection. And what's their protection? It's phytochemistry. And what do they use the phytochemistry for? For defense, right? Like the tobacco plant, what is nicotine? It's an insecticide. It keeps the pests away, right? So it's not for human consumption. But a lot of these plants, they have these phytochemicals that actually go into our body and strengthen us for the battles of our own immune system. All right, so wildcraft herbs are very good to use. So.
What about your turmeric? Would you purchase that from one of the distributors that you mentioned as well?
Yes. Now, we get the cut and sifted ones, so it's not powder. And then we make extracts out of them, because when you make an extract, even if there was lead in it, the lead doesn't come out. It's stuck with the fiber. And so we don't have to worry about it. So the best way to take a herb is as a tea or an extract, because it goes straight in the bloodstream, doesn't require any digestion. The worst way to take a herb, I'm sorry to say, is how most people do it. It's in a capsule or a tablet. And you have poor absorption rates. If you don't take it at the right time, you won't get much absorption. So if you have one of those compressed herbal tablets, do an experiment. Put it in a glass of water, and if it doesn't dissolve in 10 minutes, it's not going to dissolve in your GI tract. Yeah, so, okay. And they often use these filling agents, and, they're not altogether the real thing. So just make sure. Be careful buying herbs from China, okay? Be careful buying herbs from China. That's all I'm going to say, because a lot of products out there actually come from China, and they often spike herbs with drugs as well. Yeah, like for example, you buy ginseng, and ginseng, like as a tea, often they don't use the ginseng because it's so expensive, so they put caffeine in there instead. So you'll get the caffeine thinking it's giving you the energy, and of course it does give you the energy, but it gives you the jitters as well. So make sure that you get it from reputable sources. Now, if you take turmeric, you don't need to take black pepper. Okay? I know you're wondering about that. You think black pepper, you take black pepper with turmeric because it will increase its absorption. No, that's for curcumin. So curcumin is a derivative of turmeric, and because it's an isolate, when you take that out, the liver will degrade it and flush it out the system in 20 minutes. But if you take the turmeric, it's got all the other phytochemicals there to stabilize it and not flush it out the system. It will keep in the system for several hours. So you don't need black pepper. And black pepper, by the way, is a gastric irritant. We don't use black pepper. There is a substitute for black pepper, which is papaya seeds. Papaya seeds are a better way to go. All right. Any questions on that? No? Okay. All right. So, calendula. Calendula, this is calendula saz, by the way. This is calendula right here. And this is the best thing you can use for your skin. Let me explain what it's good for. Eczema, psoriasis, inflamed skin, burnt skin, shingles, skin that needs repairing. You can use it for poison ivy, poison oak. You can use it for acne. Yes, ma'am.
I get chronic hives.
Uh-huh.
Would that help?
It would help, yes. Yes, you can use this for hives. Here's another good thing for hives is nettle. Nettle, because nettle is a fantastic antihistamine. If you want to use one herb for nutrition, get nettle. It's the closest thing we have to the tree of life, okay? Because it is the highest in nutrition of any herb or food that I know of. Beats everything else. Beats spirulina. Beats, wheatgrass and all the other highly dense nutritional products that we have. All right. Okay, so anyone know what this is?
Is it lungwort?
You said what?
Lungwort?
Lungwort. Well done. Well done. You must be a good herbalist, because a lot of people say comfrey, and it's similar to comfrey in appearance. Okay, so lungwort. Now, lungwort is the best herb I know for the lungs. Someone asked about COPD. This is it. Lungwort. It is amazing. What's that? Yes, Lungwort. I've had several people who've been on the brink of death with not being able to breathe properly. And people have had, the COV situation, okay? And they've taken lungwort, and the lungwort helps activate the little ciliate, the little hairs in the lungs. You have this ciliate conveyor belt. And so, when people smoke, their cilia are paralyzed. But when they stop, the cilia are activated, and then they start coughing because their lungs are now working again. They can get this debris and filth out of the system. So lungwort helps activate that. Also, it's a bronchial dilator, and it will allow for more oxygen into the system. So this is great for things like asthma. It's great for things like bronchitis and pneumonia, things that are restrictive. Even sarcoidosis, you could use it for that. And I would say this plant here has been a lifesaver. And we have used this in many situations that require...
Would it interfere with medications that you might be on for these conditions?
Okay. You're destined to swallow that microphone, eh? Okay. Not that I'm aware of, but would it conflict with any other of the medications, like the prescription medication? If you're worried about it, take it at least 4 hours apart.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's another one you can take for the lungs, mullein. Okay. Mullein is mucilaginous. It's very soothing to the bronchioles, and it's also helps with oxygenation. It's a bronchial dilator. It's good for a natural expectorant. If you have a productive cough and you want to get rid of that quicker than you would if you just left it naturally, then you could try some mullein. Don't use the seeds, they're toxic. You can use the flower, but I recommend you use the leaf. All right, who knows what this one is? Comfrey, there we go. This is the comfrey. And comfrey is a cell proliferator. It is amazing plant, just absolutely amazing. I'm just blown away by comfrey because it's so quick at healing, and it's so good for pain relief, and it's so good if you break a bone. Use comfrey. It's amazing. And I don't know if anyone's a little oozy when it comes to looking at wounds. So if you want to look away right now, I'm going to show a wound situation. It's not very nice, but just wanted to warn you. So this was a gentleman here that has he's a diabetic, type 2, and he's got a really bad situation going on here with, I was afraid he was going to get septicemia. He sent me this picture, and I said to him, look, you need to clean this, make sure you sterilize this wound every day. And I told him, you can use comfrey, but you have to sterilize it every day. And he started using comfrey, and that is his same leg a few weeks later. So there's a little bit opening there, you can see, but that's exactly the same leg a few weeks later. So it's still not completely recovered, but it's much better than it was.
So he was using it in what form?
He was using topically, the comfrey, topically, yes. Now, a lot of people worry about comfrey because you can create an abscess. That is true if you don't treat underlying infections, so that's why I recommended he do that. Yes, ma'am?
A poultice using the leaves?
Yes,
Or
using the leaves, using the leaves. Now, if you use the leaves, you want to soak them in warm water, okay, and then crush them with a rolling pin. That's what you want to do. Crush them with a rolling pin or something round. You could use a bottle, whatever it is. Just crush it to get some juice out. And that's what you put over the wound. All right. Sometimes when we do workshops, we have a training school what to do when there is no doctor. So we cover wounds, we cover serious conditions, emergency first aid. And I highly recommend you get something, at least two things you want to have in an emergency: charcoal and cayenne pepper. At least have those two, along with all your bandages and your wound dressing and things like that. But those would be my top two. All right, and then have a few essential oils. They're really good for emergency situations. Like lavender oil, for example. Lavender is amazing herb. It's got so many properties for helping with burns and healing quickly and relaxing, headaches, migraines, sleep. This is my favorite go-to oil. It's called frankincense. Frankincense oil. Now, this is the most used in biblical history, frankincense oil. And frankincense, there's 7 different types of frankincense. The one they used in the sanctuary was called Boswellia serrata. Boswellia serrata. And that was a natural painkiller, and it also helped with emotional healing. Emotional healing. It's very good for that. So what it does, it boosts serotonin levels. So when people would come to the priest, they feel guilt and shame, they bring in their offering, the priest's garments, they would be covered in the frankincense oil. And as they came to the priest, they breathed this oil in, they would experience a relief. They would feel peace. I used to have people come in my store. I often used to put the frankincense oil in my diffuser. And people come in stressed and they go out relaxed. You know, and sometimes they'll comment like, oh, I feel so different after being in this store. But frankincense is excellent for wounds. It's a strong antimicrobial. It's antibacterial and antiviral. And also, it heals the deepest wounds that nothing else will heal. And maybe that's why they gave it to Jesus. And frankincense is also excellent for digestion. It's good for the immune system. Some people use it for cancer as well. And you don't have to take it internally. You can actually breathe it in. Okay? Now, if you're going to use the oil topically, then mix it with a carrier oil. Okay? So mix it with, say, some olive oil. Okay? Because it's very strong and it can irritate the skin, it can inflame the skin. So just keep that in mind.
Do you
But
have a particular olive oil that you recommend?
there is a good one we get sometimes from Costco. It's a Kirkland variety. Is that right? Kirkland. Yeah, Kirkland. There's a lot of oils out there that say olive oil, but aren't actually olive oil. It should have sediment in there. If it's true oil, it should look a little greenish, and usually it's hard to see through it. You know, it's got like little suspended fragments of pulp in there. So stay away from oils that are processed and refined. Especially your seed oils. A lot of the seed oils are very toxic, especially to the liver. So frankincense, if you're going to use one essential oil, like have it in your emergency first aid kit, frankincense is the one I recommend because it covers such a diversity of usages.
And you said there were 7 different types.
Yes, there's 7 different types, yes.
And so this one was,
This was a Boswellia serrata. There's another one, Boswellia ferrera, which is another excellent one. But I prefer this one. It smells just amazing. Just, you know, if you have someone that's like lost a loved one, have them smell frankincense. It's just a great healer. It's this great emotional healer. Okay, we're back in calendula here. Let me give you some principles of herbal medicine, okay? Herbs must be preserved to maintain effectiveness. So this is why if you're going to buy herbs from the store, make sure that you put them in a dark place because the light will destroy them, the oxygen will destroy them. So keep them in a dark, cool place. You can put them in bags, like brown bags. We actually use these containers here. These are called tight vac. Have you ever seen these? Can you hear this noise? Okay, so it's got a little valve here, and what it does, it sucks the air out. So every time I open this up, new air goes in. I want to get that air back out, so I just put it down and it sucks the air out. And what it does, it preserves the herb. I was throwing thousands of dollars at a time of herbs away because they were old. And it used to break my heart. Just get these big garbage bags and just throw my herbs in there and throw them out. I never have to throw herbs out again because these preserve them.
Where do you get those?
Where did I get them from? I think they're from, what's it called now? Oh, check on Amazon. I forget the company now. Just type in tight vac. Tight vac. Yeah, I'm not sure if they've got it on the bottom here. It's hard to see. We bought a few hundred of these because we had so many herbs and we just didn't want to, throw them away. So herbs are very expensive. I mean, and different times like this elderberry, before COVID, you could get elderberries for $11 a pound. Okay? Then during COVID, they went to $11 per ounce. Yeah, because people like me were buying up truckloads. Okay? So now you can get them as low as they're back to like $22 to $25 a pound, something like that. But, herbs are expensive. I mean, some herbs we buy, they're several $100s a pound. So you want to protect them. They are powerful medicines. So you can get like up to 5 pounds of herbs in one of these if it's a dense root. So, if you spent $50 a pound on the herb, that's $250 of herb. You want to really protect them because after about a year, if they're a leaf, they're not much good after about a year once you buy them. They lose their medicinal properties in about a year. Yeah. If it's a root, up to 5 years. If it's powdered, up to 3 years if it's a root, or berry, or bark. So herbal teas and extracts are the best way to take herbs. Herb doses vary depending on the herb used, weight of the person, form they're taken in. Herbs are best used if the cause of disease is ascertained. Herbs are not a substitute for poor lifestyle habits, and herbs should be used intelligently and in therapeutic levels deemed appropriate for the condition. And herbs are not to be relied upon continually unless they are for nutritional support. Okay, we're going to make a herbal. A herbal remedy here. Okay, I need to ask my wife here where the honey is. Okay, but ask my wife if she can find that honey. I just need some honey. If some in the kitchen there. So, all right, so we're going to I'm going to teach you here how to make a herbal immune support syrup, okay? So we've got half a glass here, half a glass of elderberries. We're just going to put those in there, all right? And then we're going to use some echinacea root. And the reason we use echinacea is because it's very good to stimulate the killer T cells. It's amazing stuff. So we're going to use a tablespoon of echinacea. And you want to use Echinacea purpurea or Echinacea angustifolia. That's the one to use. Not all echinacea is medicinal, by the way. And then, oh, this smells good. We're going to use some ginger. Anyone like ginger? Okay, excellent. Ginger, fantastic stuff here. We're going to use another tablespoon of this in there. By the way,
I didn't ask your wife.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much. By the way, on our website, we have a stack of different recipes, and you can find things like this, okay? So if you go to www.americanherbshop, you can find, just go onto DIY. There's a section called DIY, do it yourself, and it will give you, can show you how to make different creams or a salve or a beauty product or something for digestion or immune support. It's got a lot of really good information there. So we are going to use 2 cups of water. 2 cups of water here. All right.
When you said half a glass of elderberry.
Yes, half a cup. Half a cup. Yeah, did I say half a glass? Yeah. Sorry. That's what I meant. I'm not used to doing cooking schools like you. I need someone like you to just remind me. Okay, so we are turning that on. Is that, let's see here, make sure. I don't know if this is, I don't see a light coming on here. Let's try it. I don't know if someone could come and check this, make sure this is on. Hang on, let's see here. Oh, there we go. I think that, yeah, there we go. It's on. Okay, thank you. Thank you. It just didn't light up. Mine light up, so that's what threw me. Okay, thank you. All right, so we just put that on max. So what we're gonna do is bring that to a boil. Bring that to a boil, and then once it's brought to a boil, we're gonna let simmer for about 20 minutes. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use up about half of the water we've used. So we put in 2 cups of water, we're going to be left with about a cup of elderberry juice. That's what we're going to have. All right. Now, anyone have a sweet tooth? Okay. All right. I like to use raw organic honey. Now, honey is got its own healing properties, but very soothing for the throat. This is good for if you have a cold or a flu or upper respiratory tract infection. Okay, this is antiviral formula. It's very good for the immune system. Okay. I think this is a new cooker, so it's giving a little smoke. I'm not sure if the elements got something on there, but anyway, I'm going to let this cook for a little bit, okay? And what we're going to do is, once we've simmered this for about 20 minutes, we're going to strain this, okay? You can use one of these. And we're going to put it back in this glass jug here. And once we've strained all the bits, then we're going to add the honey and mix that up. And that's going to be an elderberry syrup, okay? So this is the fastest way to do it. I could show you how to make an elderberry extract, but it takes too long because you have to do it over 2 days. But you can use glycerin if you're going to use you don't need to use honey. If you want to make an extract, you use glycerin. But anytime you make an extract, you have to use 2/3 of the mixture as glycerin. Otherwise, you won't have proper preservation. And glycerin is usually from hydrolyzed soybeans, organic soy, or coconut, or palm. And generally, we stick with the palm one. All right, so that's going to just sit for a while, and we're going to leave that to do its thing. So anyone got any questions about what we're doing here?
I was disappointed when you said sweet juice. I thought you were going to give us something to take away your sweet juice.
Well, I'll let you taste it. We've got some cups here. So we are planning you to get some sweet elderberries here. Yes?
So, did you dry these yourself? Or
Oh, these were from the organic suppliers. So now the elderberries we use are called Sambucus nigra. And they're different. They're the European variety. They're not the American variety. If you use the American variety, don't eat them raw because they have cyanide in them. Okay? But you can still use them. If you cook them, you denature the cyanide. All right, so this has come to a boil right now. Sorry we don't have a camera over the top here to show you, but that's boiling. And so I'm just going to turn that down to low, and we're going to let simmer that, and we're going to evaporate some of that water off there. So then we're going to concentrate that a bit more before we add the honey, the sweetener. And kids like this, I've never met a child that hasn't liked this. That's why another reason we use the honey. If you want to use the best honey, you could use some Manuka honey. It is very expensive. You know, it's like $45 a small bottle. It's very expensive. We used to buy it, and we found our kids would get sick more often when we bought it. Dad, I feel my throat. I need some honey. It's getting quite expensive. It was funny. As long as we had Manuka honey, they kept getting sick. It's funny how that works. All right. Now, I also want to make you some tea. All right. So this is Lee's anti-aging formula. Okay. So these are some of the ingredients. We have licorice root. Okay. We also have some stevia. That's stevia, by the way, is another excellent sweetener, and it's 300 times as sweet as sugar. Stevia. It's so sweet it's bitter. All right, and then we have some peppermint. This smells very nice. Everyone like peppermint? Okay, now peppermint has the highest amounts of polyphenols of all herbs. So you've probably heard of green tea. Green tea is used for polyphenols, but this is number one. Green tea is 65 on the list, right? So this is far better for you. And it will also be good for digestion. It doesn't have any aluminum and stuff like that in. And then we have chamomile tea. This is very good for digestion, as I mentioned before. And it's very soothing. If you have any stomach pain, take some chamomile. And peppermint also is good, although you shouldn't take it if you have acid reflux, but it can prevent acid reflux. All right. And then another one we have here is Shoshander berries. Shoshander berries, let me pass it around for you. Okay, I think, there we go. These are Shoshander berries. And can I pass that around? So those are very good for the liver. And they're one of the highest in antioxidants. And they combat what we call superoxide dismutase, which is basically, it protects you from getting disease, basically. That's the bottom line. And also, it is very, very high in nutritional elements. So it is one of the best berries to use. And then we have hibiscus. Does everyone like hibiscus? All right, this is amazing. You can take hibiscus in the cold, make this a nice cool drink, or you can warm it up in the ice temperatures we have now. You can make a nice warm tea out of this. It's very good for blood pressure, by the way, hibiscus. And it is an anti-inflammatory. It is a blood purifier. It's very good for nutritional elements. It's high in vitamin C. And we're going to use that for some antioxidants. For hibiscus, this is just your regular one, but you can grow this actually. You can grow this pretty much anywhere in America. So I'm going to have to get my wife to make some of this because we're going to have to pour it in a kettle here, and then we're going to have to try to strain this. And so what you do is you have equal parts of peppermint and chamomile and hibiscus, equal parts of those. And then, so this is how it works. Okay, so let's say 2 parts, 2 parts, 2 parts, then 1 part licorice, and then we add a tablespoon of Shoshander berries. Okay, now this is for about a cup of the tea, and then we add about 1/4 teaspoon of stevia. All right, and then what we're going to do is basically put this into some hot water. We're going to steep it for about 6 minutes, and then you guys are going to taste some of this, all right? So I'm going to put these together. Has anyone got blood pressure issues? Anyone need some help with?
How do you spell, are you saying Shishandra?
Shishandra berry, yeah, that's Schissandra. Chandra berries. Okay, so got that, and then we did, oops, one of these. Okay, and then we got the same teaspoon. Okay, let's look at this, and we're going to use a touch of stevia, not very much here. Okay. All right. So during the break, I'm going to get this prepared for you guys. Oh, it smells great. I can even taste it. The stevia powder is going in the air, and I can taste the sweetness already. So, everyone a cup of tea? Yeah, it feels like we're in England, isn't it? Cup of tea? Okay. All right. So, hopefully, in about 10 minutes, this will be ready. We'll have the tea ready, and we'll be good to go. And then in the next program, after the break, I'm going to also make a salve. We're going to make a herbal salve, and then we'll maybe have time for one other thing to do. All right. So, any questions? Yes, if you got high blood pressure, or if you, yes, so this tea is good for that. Yes, and also...
Could you repeat the question, because it's being recorded? So.
Oh, okay, well, so the question was, is this good for blood pressure? Yes, so this is good for blood pressure, and it's very good for stress. If you just want a relaxing tea at the end of the day, had a hard day, yeah, this is very good for stress. This was one of our favorite teas that we had in our store. People love this tea. It's very tasty, very palatable, very high nutrition. So let's take a 10-minute break, okay? And I'm going to try to get some tea ready for you, and there's some toilets back, the restrooms if you need them. So let's just have a break, and hopefully we'll have some tea very soon for you guys. So thank you. Okay, so we're going to need some more water here. Sinusitis? Yes, I can talk about that. Okay, sure. Can you give me some more water? Yes. And then... Downstairs, get the good stuff. Yes, that's great.
So you don't put them in plastic bags?
No.
Clean the container.
Yeah, because they're already sucking the air out. Yeah.
Did you have to push this down when you do it, or just...
Not... Oh, I do. It makes it easier. It's quicker. But some of these got injured. Yes. Sure. Yes. Hibiscus, that's right. And then one part with the licorice. Yes. It's just using the standard. It's a cut and sifted licorice. Cut and sifted. Yeah. You don't use powders for making tea. Yeah, so.
Oh, I know, my spelling is horrible. I My whole driveway was iced today, the water farm. Wow, crap. Long stone driveway.
Stayed around a lot longer.
When this, a hill comes down, and then there's a little land that goes around, it just pops it up. So it's really he said, "What matter? No. He said, second, you don't get any gas. You don't get the but it's fun. Like I come down the hill, turn, and then there's this, well, yeah, actually, it's got the shape, running, so they kind of keep you in track. You go down to a little ditch with and then you pull the ice cream and track. Done that before?
I was just watching around my house. It was really interesting because I really learned a lot about the sun patterns watching this snow. Right. I have one house the field next to me, it got a lot of sand and it just happened to go fast. And then our backyard, it was snowing away. I still have some snow.
I would do too.
That's why I was like, yeah, I'm in here at mountains and stuff. I'm highways all over the house.
So that means you're not going there. That's good. If you're, but this is on the carport, which is interesting. So that's a, no, for the carport, but I mean, in your house melts off real quick, and you've got
Also, they're putting in to blow up on
this is without the help. This is wide open shade. Is what you call right now.
But that's what was surprising because the trees don't have leaves on them. So you think that wouldn't be that shady because the trunks and the branches. It's
Take up a
wide
lot.
open shade. It's like wide open shade.
Right.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hi, I'm hoping this is working. I put it on 200 degrees, so I'm trying to feel it, see if it's got to be hot enough to boil. Maybe I didn't press start. I pressed 200 Fahrenheit, but I didn't press start. Oh yeah, I think this is it now. Yeah, there we go. I thought it was going to be quick. So yeah, that's the way. We're good to go. Awesome. All right. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Dandelion, nettle, juniper berries, corn silk, uva ursi. Those are the big ones. Yeah, sure. Ask my wife if she has kidney support, because if she does, it has those in there. She didn't find it? Okay. Well, give my wife your contact info, and then we can mail one to you. Yeah. Would that be all right? Yeah. Okay. No worries. Symphytum. Symphytum officinalis. Is that what it's also?
They just say symphytum the whole time, symphytum 200.
Okay, symphytum is basically the comfrey. Yeah. But there's different kinds. So you have Symphytum atlanticum, you have Symphytum officinalis.
This article is on treating polyostotic fibers of the skin that my daughter has.
Okay.
It's the first study I've ever seen. It was put out last year. Where they got those pockets of bone that never ossified.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the comfrey.
This is on a child.
Right.
So they took it into Just wondering.
Send me the study. I would be interested to read it because usually they don't give it internally.
They don't give you what?
Symphytum internally. They don't usually do it internally. Right. Oh. Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah, I can. Yeah, give cups. I just put it in. So what we're going to need is to strain it with this and put it in. And if you've got another picture you can use or something.
To strain it into the...
Yeah, just. Okay, can I give this to you then? All right. Yes. They're pretty similar. Yeah, I mean, soy is non-toxic. There's no phytates in there. It's not going to leave marks in the ceiling or anything. It's trying to work it. Yeah, if you could do that for us. Yeah, we'll do it now. Okay, thank you. So we're going to have to let this cool down a little bit. I didn't want anyone to get burn their taste buds. But we're going to have communion style. As far as the amount goes, sweetie, I wouldn't do too much because, yeah, that could probably go for two people. Yeah, because we need about 25, maybe. About 25. So is there any questions so far?
If we drink tea, does this mean we are officially we can be English?
Yes, you're confirmed English after this.
What did they say?
Okay, so let me cover some of the conditions people asked about. So while we're waiting here. Yeah. So someone asked me about allergies. The best thing for allergies is nettle, stinging nettle. Stinging nettle. It's a natural antihistamine. And I see it work, I'd say about 90% of the time. So stinging nettle, very high nutrition, very...
Will that nettle work with someone who has histamine problems when they eat?
Yes, because it lowers them. So histamine, when you get histamine, it's causing basically an overreaction, overstimulation of the immune cells, and you end up with, an allergenic reaction, right? So So this helps calm it down a bit. That's what it does. So you can take it as a tea or an extract. Those are the best ways to take the nettle. So it doesn't matter. Anytime you have a reaction, you can take it. If you have nettle in your backyard, you can use that. Just make sure you use gloves. It has formic acid. It has serotonin. It has acetylcholine in the ends there. It can give you a little sting. But if you take it, it will take away the allergy it caused you. But it's very, very high in nutrition, especially A, C, and E. It's also one of the highest in plant protein and iron, and it's full of micronutrients. So highly recommend nettle. It's one of those superfoods. We've had people who've had been completely bald, no hair on their head for years, and their hair's grown back just using nettle. Yeah, it's amazing. It's yeah, you can use this tea. Yeah, no, you don't rub it on. You just drink it. Just drink it. Yeah, it's an amazing herb.
So how do you know? I mean, like if you.
Sweetie, have we got enough? Do you know? I don't think it's enough. Why don't you pour a few in? Yeah, just make sure. How many is it we got? 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 20, 21, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 29, 30. We're going to need 33, I think. 33. We're going to need more. Have we got any more cups? Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, okay. So, all right, then. Someone else asked me about hormones. Okay, after menopause. Okay, so when a lady's gone into menopause, she still has sex hormones, but they're derived from the adrenal glands. So 30% of your sex hormones is still secreted by your adrenals. If you've had a hard time of stress leading up to menopause, you're going to have a roller coaster because your adrenals won't support the hormonal changes that are happening. So what you want to do is use adaptogens, things that help modulate the stress response. So that's things like ashwagandha, rhodiola, eleuthero root, licorice root, ginseng. Those are things you want to use in situations like that. All right, someone asked me about diabetes type 2. The best herbs for that, Gymnema sylvestris is the botanical name, Gymnema, fenugreek seed, and bitter melon, cinnamon, and you want to use not the cassia, you want to use the Ceylon variety. And then I talked before about juniper berries, which was a specific berry called Juniperus monosperma. That's very good to help the pancreas. And also turmeric root. Those are the best ones that I know to help with diabetes. And for hypertension, heart disease, one of the best ones is hawthorn berry. Hawthorn berry is high in calcium channel blockers, ACE inhibitors. It also helps with nitric oxide production. It helps lower cholesterol. It's a vasodilator. It helps with left myocardial contraction, increases the ejection fraction. It helps with lowering cholesterol. And it's, where is it now? Thought I had it here. There we go. We do have it. Hawthorn berries. Those are the hawthorn berries for the heart. Okay. Someone else COPD. I mentioned lungwort. Also mullein. Also, don't burn yourself. It's a bit hot. Is that too hot? No. All right. So it's perfect. Is it taste okay? Yes. Okay. Good. All right. If you all fall asleep on me, I'll know it has other effects. Okay. All right. Someone asked about insomnia. Okay. This one here. Oat straw. Avena sativa. Yes. This is a lifesaver. You can ask my wife. Maybe I should get my wife, put her on the spot. This is great for people that can't stay asleep. You know, wake up in the morning, you can't get back to sleep, right? This is good for that. Excellent. Oat straw. Oat straw, yes. Yes. Yes, I was telling Barbara and Neil about the benefits of oat straw because it's such a powerful effect. Sweetheart, do you want to share a testimony about oat straw? Yeah? Okay, hang on. Let me mic you up here. By the way, this is my beautiful bride of 22 years. We've been through a lot together. I don't know where I'd be without her, but she wonders the same thing without me. Okay.
He always says, honey, I couldn't do it without you. And I say, I definitely wouldn't be doing it without you. Well, yeah, on oat straw, just very briefly, I'll share that. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Let me hold it.
There you go.
You can stay here for emotional support. So I don't know if my husband told you that I had 6 years of insomnia from midnight. So I could sleep up until midnight, and then after that I couldn't get any sleep. And this was consistent every single night for 6 years. So I thought, I'm not stressed. What's wrong with me? What's going on? It must be metabolic, physiological, something. Anyway, lots of dramatic experiences in between in looking for a cure. And we had our first child in the middle of that. And anyway, about 2 years after he was born, it was in the middle of the night. I said, Lord, I've got a baby. Well, he was 2 years old. I would really, really like to know what is wrong, why I can't sleep. And in the middle of the night, the Lord led me to a book that was one of my husband's textbooks by a British man called David Hoffman, Medical Herbalism, an excellent scientific breakdown, similar to James Duke's material, on the constituents of herbs. And as I flicked through this book, it kind of fell open at the page, nervous exhaustion. I thought, that sounds like me. Haven't slept. And it said the first thing to take was oat straw. So the next day I went down to the herb shop and I bought a pound, and I stuffed a quart jar with that stuff, filled it with boiling hot water, I made a really strong steep, and I drank that the whole day. And that night I slept 6 hours. And I thought, wow, this stuff's good. So I did the same thing the next night and slept 8 hours. And I thought, I don't know what's in this, but it really works. And then we found out that it's one of the highest herbs containing calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, all the micro minerals that you need for your nervous system to be able to function optimally. And it's kind of paradoxical. You can be so exhausted that you can't sleep, right? Is very often because the nerves are not getting what they need to function at the right time of day, do what they're meant to do. So I'm so grateful for that discovery for oat straw. I wish I could say it cures everybody's insomnia every time, but everybody's causes are different. But for me, it was massive depletion of minerals, obviously, maybe from poor diet or stress or a combination of things. So very thankful for that. So that was the oat straw story.
You want to share the Vitex story?
The Vitex story, yeah, as well, okay.
Well, I've got
So,
you. Might as well use it.
so Vitex, I always say, is the best kept secret in women's health. It really is. And if women only knew, it would put the IVF business out of business completely. Chaseberry is that the common name, or is Vitex the common? So chaseberry, it does exactly that. If there's too many hormones in the system, it balances them, brings them down. And typically for women and for myself, we tend to be low progesterone and estrogen dominant. And I was told I would never have children when I was 35 because my hormones were so out of whack. And I had lost one baby due to low progesterone. And Vitex actually boosts progesterone levels, especially in the first trimester. So that's often a critical time for the baby, for the fetus, and that's when miscarriages often take place, 8 to 12 weeks, when if there isn't enough progesterone in the uterus to make it nice and plush for the baby, the body will just expel it. So we discovered Vitex after we had lost one child, and I was 39, and you can use it for fertility as well, because it increases progesterone, and along with red clover, which is estrogenic and boosts ovulation, the two make a really powerful combination for people wanting to conceive. So we took both of those, and within a month, I was pregnant with John, who you may have met, who's now 16. So thanks to God, thank you, Lord, for that insight. And we also learned, after I had postpartum depression with John, didn't know that Vitex would help with that. When I started to get postpartum depression with our second child, I used Vitex for that, and immediately I was able to get out of postpartum depression using Vitex. So it covers such a broad spectrum of women's cyclical health, from PMS. We've used it extensively for many people with PMS, fertility, premenopausal hot flashes and mood instability, postmenopausal for keeping progesterone levels high, fibroids, which were very common in the African American community when we worked in Georgia. We saw a number of people just, their fibroids shrank within a very short time, because fibroids are typically fed by high estrogen. So if you can take Vitex and increase the progesterone levels, the fibroids will often shrink, along with a good diet, of course. So what else? I think I covered it all.
Any other testimonies?
Yes.
The guinea pig?
Yes. I don't know, for some reason I must be here to keep my husband humble. I get all the conditions and he can't figure it out. So we develop some other formula that will help someone else, even if it doesn't help me.
Sometimes it takes 5 years to figure it out.
Yeah. But praise God, we're so grateful that this ministry has grown out of a lot of the struggles, the health struggles that I've had for many years. Another recent one, I've had a history of having slow digestion, poor digestion. You know, am I gluten intolerant? What am I? Sorry, is that me doing that? I'm not sure. Anyway, recently my husband developed a bitters formula, digestive bitters, and it's just full of really bitter roots, basically. And I started taking this before eating, and wow, what a change in my digestion. So grateful. And if you're one of these people that has a hard time getting to the bathroom at least once a day, I struggle to go twice a day, but now, no problems in that department. So thank you, Dr. Lee. So I really recommend that if you've got any absorption type issues or lower gut absorption, digestion problems. That's a great combination. And the next thing.
Thank you. Yes, we've had myriads of conditions that we've tried to work on, but as I say, it's keeping me humble when you can't figure things out, and it takes a while, and it's usually something really simple that you've even got that you don't even know how it works, or that if it does work. So thank you, sweetheart. Appreciate it. Yes. Okay, so is that tea good, by the way? Okay, good. Was it too sweet? I wasn't sure if it was. Oh, it was just right? Okay. Awesome. Okay, let me make sure this is. Is that okay? No? Okay. All right. Hang on. Got it backwards, maybe. Gonna give the people listening online. Would that work better if I put? Okay, I'm gonna have to get my technician out here. All right. Thank you. All right. So we've got this. We got this elderberry. Well, I probably left it. Oh, I left it too long. That's what happened here. Too busy. Can you smell that? Shall I pass it around? Sure. Okay. Like Aaron with his incense, you know, going through the camp. Stop the plague. Oh, wow. All right. Okay. Elderberry syrup ready to go. Well, almost. We need to put the honey. Can folks smell that? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You can also make jam out of this, by the way. Yeah, you can add some pectin to it. And this is a cousin also to bilberry. Anyone heard of bilberry? Bilberry is very good for the eyes. Cataract protection, glaucoma, even seen results with macular degeneration. So we'll give you some of this to try as well. So this is really good for the immune system, upper respiratory tract infections. Someone asked me earlier about sinus infections. You can use this for sinus infections. One of the best ones is thyme and ginger. Thyme and ginger for sinus infections. And also you can use eucalyptus oil. Breathe that in. All right, so okay, so what we're going to do is put it through the sieve here, and I love the smell of elderberries. I was doing a seminar at a church once, and this man came up to me and said, "My name's Elder Berry." Yes. All right. So now you can, if you want to be a little bit more economical, you can put it in the cheesecloth and use some gloves and squeeze it out. Now at home, we have a herb press, and it's 10,000 pounds of pressure. It's a hydraulic press, and there's nothing left after that. Squeeze everything out of it. It's really good. All right. I think we probably got a little less than a cup there. Did I? Let me see. Okay. Is anyone getting sick? Not yet. Not yet? All right. Anyone feeling the bugs? Anyone got bugs? All right. So we can add some honey. How much have we got here? All right. It's 3/4 a cup. I left it a little too long there, but you want to get around a cup. Now, if you're making elderberry syrup, I just want you to keep in mind that in order to preserve it, like for several months, you're going to need to use twice the amount of honey to the juice. Okay? That's a lot of honey. But now, you're not going to take all this in one go. This is enough for, I mean, this would last a year, basically. So when you're using it, you're only using a tablespoon at a time, right? So you're not going to swig a whole gallon of honey here. How much have we got? We've got 12 ounces. Okay, this will probably just be enough to preserve it. I found this out years ago when I used to make elderberry syrup, and I used to sell it. And then one day, I was opening a bottle, and I heard a fizz. You know the fizz? Yeah. And I thought, uh-oh, it's fermented. And you can end up with elderberry wine. So I thought, I don't want to take that risk. I'm going to stop making this stuff, and I went to making extracts instead. And thankfully, I don't have any problems now. But yeah, and also another thing too, we don't ever use alcohol because that's the difference between a tincture and a glyceride, because a tincture is technically alcoholic, and they use vodka. It's from GMO corn. It's 80 to 180% proof alcohol, and you can't just boil that stuff out. You can't just put boiling hot water over it and get rid of it. It doesn't work that way. In fact, it takes 2.5 hours of cooking at high temperatures to get 95% of the alcohol out of that. So we use glycerin. Plus, I didn't want to walk into a liquor store and look behind me if there's Pastor David coming up behind. Look, he's riding by on the same day. No,
We just make our own.
you make your own, yes. Make your own. No. No moonshining. Okay. Okay. No. Alcohol is cytotoxic, and it does a lot of damage. It dehydrates the tissues. It destroys the liver. A lot of things going with that. So, all right. Do you know they gave Jesus alcohol on the cross? And he spat it out. Yeah. To give all the alcoholics a victory. Yes. He would not accept anything to inebriate him. Now, I don't know if we've got communion cup size. We've got probably enough to give someone a little taste. I don't know. Could you pour it into? If you've used your cup, maybe we can. We'll find some. We'll find some. Oh, okay. Yeah. No worries. Okay. Okay. If you've still got a cup, we'll try to get some more. Oh, there. Yeah. Okay. All right. We just have a little swig, just a tiny bit, just a mouthful each. Sorry, I don't have enough to go around here, but yes, that's correct. 2 times the amount. Yes. To preserve it. Now, if you're going to use it straight away, you don't need to add a lot of honey. You can just put enough to sweeten it up a bit. But the kids like a little bit of sweetness, so, I mean, 2 times the honey, it does make it quite sweet, but you probably can get away with just adding like half the amount of honey, and it would be still sweet enough, using it for that purpose. So, all right, so anyone suffer from migraines, headaches? Try Feverfew. Feverfew. This is an excellent one for that. Fevers, headaches, migraines. Feverfew. Feverfew. Aloe vera. Try aloe vera. Aloe vera is very good as a mucilaginous herb. It is slippery, like slippery elm. We got some slippery elm here. If you got digestive inflammation, use mucilaginous herbs. Slippery elm powder is what you want to use. Marshmallow root powder, aloe vera. Don't get too close to the skin. It's got some tannins that can cause constipation. This is Oregon grapefruit. This is very good for the immune system, antibacterial. We use this in our super immune booster. It's very effective. Plantain. Plantain is a fantastic herb to use. If you're out in the woods, you get bitten by a snake, grab some plantain, put it on there. It will pull out those poisons. It's very astringent. It can pull out toxins out of your skin, plantain. It's very, very good. Yes, poison ivy. If you get bitten by an ant or a bee, use plantain. It's very, very powerful. So astringent herbs stay tighten. That's what they do. They tighten. You had a question?
The roots of plantain is good for toothache.
Oh, for toothache? Yes. Right. Okay, so I talked about bentonite clay, effects of that. Very good for pulling poisons out the body. Chlorella. This is fantastic for heavy metals.
So where do you get your chlorella and cilantro?
You can get chlorella from Mountain Rose Herbs or Star Wars Botanicals. You want to get cracked chlorella. Get organic cracked chlorella. And it's a detoxifier. And it chelates with heavy metals like lead, cadmium, mercury, aluminum. And many of us here, if we had a blood test, would be high in these heavy metals. If you're dealing with chemicals or paints, or you've had lots of amalgams, or you eat lots of fish, that type of thing that's got heavy metals in, you may want to try some chlorella. And you were here for the charcoal, right? I probably don't need to talk about charcoal, but I would say one of the best charcoals is coconut charcoal. Coconut charcoal is excellent for that. Okay, let me just go on to hang on a second. Where is it now? It's that one there. Okay, so for heart issues, these are the top herbs. Hawthorn is, in my opinion, is number one. Hawthorn is an amazing herb, and garlic is as well. Although the green tea, I wouldn't recommend it so much, even though it's high in polyphenols. I substitute it for the peppermint. Hibiscus is in your green tea. So in your anti-aging tea. So that's very, very good for the heart. Also, allergies, nettle, I mentioned before. Also, you want to pay attention to the gut and liver for allergies. Okay, and then I mentioned bilberry before for your eyes. This will help improve vision. For hair loss, nettle, ashwagandha, rhodiola. Those are the best herbs we've seen to help with hair growth. For the immune system, echinacea, golden seal, astragalus root, Oregon grape root. Those are the top ones we use for immune system, and also elderberry for viruses. Okay, and the liver conditions, I mentioned, was it Friday? I mentioned about 100 million people in the United States have fatty liver. And so to help with fatty liver, you want to reduce your carbohydrate intake, refined carbohydrates, okay? That's what does the most damage with fatty liver. And then you can use dandelion root and milk thistle seed. Those are excellent. Now, it's commonly believed that the liver houses bunches of toxins, and that we need to have liver flushes, get rid of them. This isn't actually true. So let me explain something. All the chemicals go through your liver. They don't get stored in your liver. They get converted to water-soluble substances and they get flushed out. They can enter back in the bloodstream, okay, but they don't stay in the liver. All right. Now, there's one exception to that. If you have fatty liver, the fat cells can actually house toxins, okay? But the liver cells do not store toxins. They keep them moving. They're pushing them out into the bloodstream. They convert them to water-based soluble properties. And in the process, that can cause damage to the liver, all right, depending on the toxicity of what it's trying to deal with, like drugs. That's why doctors worry when your liver is packing up, because their drugs will not work anymore, all right, because the drugs are converted to metabolites passing through the liver. And so the liver normally doesn't tell you anything's going on. If you hear from the liver, it's usually a bad sign, because the liver is a silent sufferer, okay? Sometimes it enlarges, you can feel it, but most of the time you should not be able to feel your liver. A doctor will press hard under your rib cage to try to feel the top of the lobe of the liver. And if it's enlarged, if it's inflamed, then you need to take some anti-inflammatories, take some dandelion root, take some milk thistle seed, take some turmeric root to help with that. And then you can also use hydrotherapy. Hydrotherapy is amazing. I don't know if you're having any hydrotherapy seminars. You guys seem to have seminars after seminars here, so which is great. I'm glad. Isn't this a great place to get educated, this church? I mean, they're doing all these seminars. I mean, I have been throughout this country, and it's rare to see a church that does this. I'm telling you, it's so keep doing what you're doing. This is amazing. But hydrotherapy is a wonderful thing. I highly encourage you to get involved with it. But it's using hot and cold fermentations, and you can use towels to do this. But have any of you heard of Battle Creek Sanitarium? Battle Creek Sanitarium became famous in using hydrotherapy. Dr. Harvey Kellogg was famous for that. And Seventh-day Adventists have been pioneering in that in the early days. Unfortunately, it's one of those lost arts and sciences today, but it would be very well for us to learn some basics. For example, let's say you have a headache, right? You can get a basin like this, fill it up with hot water, put your feet in it. You probably want a deeper one than this, but if you cover your ankles with hot water, it will cause vasodilation. It will take the blood from the cranial cavity down to the feet, and it will relieve some of the pressure, take your headache away, not your head away. Okay. My head's gone a long time ago. All right, so simple things like that. You can use hot and cold fermentations for your chest, 2 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold. You put these in a microwave. So you put them in water, you wring them out, you put it in a microwave in a bag, and put it for 2 minutes. You get some gloves, and you just roll it out into a fermentation. Actually, this is a little bit too small. You want it probably about this wide and going across the chest. And putting heat over your chest is really good if you've got things like bronchitis, if you've got any COPD conditions, pneumonia, if you're having trouble breathing. Remember the Spanish flu, 1918? The most successful treatment was actually hydrotherapy, hot and cold fermentations to the chest. 2 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold. So you use a hot to start with, and then you have another cloth with another basin with ice cold water. So you put ice in it, and then you wring that out, and then you go across your chest with cold, and then you put the heat back on there, and do that 4 times. It's amazing. Now, another one you can do, just if you want to gain more energy and get more resistance to viruses and bacteria, is you can have a hot and cold shower. Everyone like cold showers? Okay. Okay. Well, try this. Look, just try this for once, okay? Go back home in the morning, have a hot, start with a hot, and then go to like tepid. So you're not going straight to cold. Just go to tepid, okay? And then try to make at least 30 seconds, right? Do that for 30 seconds, and then go back to the heat, and then after 2 minutes, go back to cooler, okay? So not so tepid now, it's a little cooler, right? Not ice cold, nothing like that. And then you do hot again, and you do as hot as you can, and then you go back to colder. And then by the 4th time, you can probably do straight out cold, okay? Because by the time you've done 3 changes, what happens is your skin tightens, and the cold just bounces off. It doesn't penetrate. It tightens the skin, so you just feel the cold doesn't penetrate. It just bounces off. And that gives you some energy, invigorates, gets the brain working. Don't do this before you go to bed, because it'll keep you awake, okay? But it's very good to stimulate, and your brain will just be 10 times just clearer, and there'll be sparkles in your eye. Yes, Pastor?
Yeah, when I was pastoring
Yes.
We had a medical doctor from Loma Linda University talk about the best treatment for COVID.
Right.
19. The best treatment for COVID-19 was the hot and cold contrast showers, because in one drop of blood you might have 7,500 white blood cells, but when you do that on your chest, the white blood cells move in that direction and the body starts manufacturing more. It goes up to about 45,000 WBCs in the thoracic region of your chest. So it's phenomenal to stimulate your immune system.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it is amazing. Yeah, we've seen many, many times the benefits of these treatments. Yes?
I think I had COVID 2 years ago. I was so sick, I never went to the doctor, I just stayed home. But I started doing hot and cold showers, so 3 minutes hot, 1 minute cold.
Right.
And 3 times. And I, except for one time, and I've been around COVID, I've taken care of COVID patients that were right up in my face. I have not gotten sick except one time, a minor runny nose. That was it for the last 2 years.
Amen. Praise God. Wonderful. Yeah, so try it. We call it the Adventist coffee, right? Okay. All right. So what were some of the conditions I didn't get to cover? And I know you wanted to sort of leave a little early to get people out, but we'll try to go another 15, 20 minutes. And I want to make sure. So with the thyroid, yes. Can I just cover thyroid very quickly? If it's hypothyroid, we recommend using ashwagandha root, rhodiola root, and also nettle. And sometimes we add a little bit of Irish moss to that to get extra iodine. Sometimes the iodine is a little low. Yes, ma'am.
What is your opinion? I don't know if you've heard about this or not. It's been around for quite some while. There's a book out that's become resurgent again. It's called The 1 Minute Miracle, and it has to do with oxygen therapy using a 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide and diluting it down. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of hydrogen peroxide internally because it can affect phagocytosis. But I do believe there's a proper use for it, and it's very good for sterilization, it's very good for wounds and things like that, so I'm not against that per se. I know some people are using it for cancer treatments and things like that to kill the cancer, but I don't have the total confidence, maybe others do in that, but so I shy away from that. But I do believe in oxygen treatments. So deep breathing, for example, wonderful to oxygenate your lungs for yourselves to get enough oxygen, because that will combat cancer, because it gives electrical energy to your immune system. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, my poor husband, he's 68, and for some time now, he has had a terrible problem sleeping for going to the bathroom over and over and over, and it's just wearing on him something awful. He thought, well, maybe there's inflammation, so he got off wheat several months ago. He got off peanut butter. I mean, he's just, no sugar. I mean, he's just doing everything, and yet he's still just up and down all night long.
Does he have an enlarged prostate?
Supposedly not. He got that checked at the doctor, and they said, no, seems normal.
Okay, has he got any bladder infection?
I don't think so. I mean, doesn't seem to be any signs of it.
Okay. What can sometimes happen, and this can be very mild to the point that people don't notice it, you can get residual bacteria that's not getting flushed out properly, and it can lead to the bladder emptying a lot to try to get that residual bacteria out. Sometimes it's noticeable, and sometimes it's not. So there could be an infection that's, below his notice, but that may be a possibility. You could try some corn silk or some buku and see if that doesn't help. Yes, sir.
Yes, I have thyroids, and my mother's had thyroids, and she's got the one that loses weight, and I have the one that gains weight.
Okay, so she has hyper, and you have hypo.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, as I mentioned before, hypo, usually it's not, the thyroid is a secondary problem. When the thyroid goes down, it's usually because most of the time it's actually the adrenals pulling the thyroid down. So what happens is a lot of stress causes the high levels of cortisol, and then that interferes with T3 conversion. It interferes with the interleukins that mediate between the local cells and the immune cells, and that sets up an autoimmune reaction. Now, some of the time it's a liver issue. So the liver is also responsible for T3 conversion. So if there's a compromised liver, if there's a fatty liver, if it's not functioning optimally, if there's inflammation in the liver, that can also affect the thyroid. So usually the thyroid is a secondary organ that's being brought down by another primary organ system, and usually it's the adrenals. So with that in mind, we often recommend not only ashwagandha rhodiola, but we often recommend the turmeric root to deal with the inflammation that's setting up the T3 conversion problem, and then also deal with the stress. If there's anxiety and there's bad sleep, for example, then we often recommend the oat straw to help offset that. So you got to deal with the stress, you got to deal with the inflammation, and then you got to deal with the effects. Okay. Degenerative disc disease. Okay, so it depends how bad it is. Okay, so herbs will not put a disc back in place. It's not going to apply any mechanical pressure or anything like that. What some herbs can do is help with the inflammation that's occurring and the repair. So the best thing to repair any damaged bone or cartilage is the comfrey. Now it depends on how deep the injury is, because if you apply comfrey topically, it may only be able to go down 1 inch to 2 inch under the surface. So sometimes you may need to even take something internally for that. So you're going to have pain, you're going to have inflammation, and then you're going to need something for repair. So for repair, I recommend the comfrey. Also recommend the turmeric root for the inflammation, and then also strengthen the muscles. There are a lot of exercises that people can do to offset that. Also, another thing that can be useful, especially with the pain, is having a bath in Epsom salts. And you've got to have enough Epsom salts to get your buoyancy, and that takes the pressure off, and that can help. And hot and cold treatments as well. That can definitely help flush out those pain chemicals. Yes, ma'am.
How about hypercortisol?
Hypercortisol, too high cortisol, that's going to be adaptogens. So that's your ashwagandha rhodiola, luthra root, that's your ginseng, that's your shashandra berries, that's your reishi mushrooms, turmeric root. Those are the things that help with high cortisol levels. Yes?
Recommending using turmeric root. What's the best form?
Best form? Either taking it as like a juice, making a juice out of it from fresh, okay, or taking an extract, because you won't have any lead in an extract, okay, or a decoction where you bring it to a boil and let it simmer for 20 minutes. Yes?
You mentioned earlier bilberry for eye, glaucoma,
yes,
cataract, and macula. What do you use for floaters? For
floaters, that's a good question. Yes, I haven't found a herb yet. This is something I haven't had a lot of experience with floaters. So I haven't read of any herbs that can help with floaters. I mean, it is possible that it could be induced through stress as well. So if that's the case, then you could use some adaptogens. But bilberry is better for helping improve vision, helps improve rods at the back of the eye. It's high in vitamin A. It also helps with capillaries in the back of the eye if there's leakage, like what you find with high blood pressure or high blood sugar. You have these little capillary that these capillaries that leak in the back of your eyes. That could help with that. But as far as floaters go, I don't know any herb that I could say would really fix that. Yeah.
My bruising has been diagnosed as senile purpura. Is there anything like for the capillaries?
Yes. So for any senility, you could try things that stimulate blood flow, oxygenation, and sugar balance to the brain. So those are things you want to deal with and help also with neurotransmission. So you want to use things that stimulate better blood flow, which is things like ginger, things like cayenne, things like hawthorn berry and ginkgo biloba. Those are the best ones. For neurotransmission, iodine. Iodine is very helpful for that. And then also for sugar regulation, if there's a problem with diabetes, sometimes that can be a factor with senility, or cholesterol can even interfere with that. And then heavy metals can also sometimes be a problem, especially aluminum. And so using things that chelate, like cilantro, chlorella, it could be helpful for that. And then hydration. Hydration, because 30% of elderly people that go to the doctor wouldn't go to the doctor if they were hydrated. Okay? And the first place that the water is taken from the body when it's dehydrated is from the lower back. And this is why a lot of people have lower back pain. Because those big bands of muscle in the lower back, they're not seen as the body as critical, like the brain, and so that's where the water comes from. And so that leads to a lot of back pain. So senility can be drastically improved just from increasing hydration.
For the capillaries, I mean, this is the bruising thing.
Yeah, so if it's from, you're talking about like a trauma for the brain?
No, it's not for the brain at all. It's senile purpura, which is like aging capillaries.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. So, okay, for the capillaries, I would use astringents. So that would be things like bilberry, blueberries, and also, what's the other one now? Witch hazel and horse chestnut. Yes, that could help with that. Yes, ma'am. Okay, we got 3 more minutes.
Herbs that can help with brain fog.
Brain fog, yes. So, ginkgo biloba, ginseng root, maca root, gotcha cola, bacopa, cayenne pepper, and what's the other one? Rosemary. Rosemary, got rosmarinic acid in it. It's very good for that. Yes. Those are the best ones. Yes.
I was just wondering, how long is an extract good for?
Oh, as far as shelf life, it's about 3 years. Yeah, about 3 years. Yes, Linda.
PCOS and endometriosis.
Okay. Yes, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Vitex. Now, usually it's a problem with PCOS. Usually, it's a problem with the adrenal glands, And often it's because of a problem also regulating blood sugar. So you see a lot of people that have diabetes type 2, for example, they have an increased risk of PCOS. And so Vitex, it works on the luteinizing hormone, and it can help normalize the progesterone, and it can help lower the testosterone. So that could help with PCOS. And what was the other one that you mentioned? Endometriosis, yes. Again, Vitex. Vitex, yes.
I was wondering if somebody can't take the turmeric in a powder form,
Yes.
and they wanted to get a capsule.
Yes.
How would they, what strength would they get, or?
Yeah, so I don't usually recommend it in a powder form or a pill form because it's got 38 to 52% absorption. And if you don't take it at the right time, it's even lower than that. So if you take it between meals, you'll get very little percentage in your bloodstream because it's based on hydrochloric acid extracting those properties. So, so my recommendation would be to take it as a tea or to get it as an extract. And they have 98% absorption rates. So that would be a better way to go. Yes.
So should most teas be taken between meals?
Well, teas don't actually activate digestion unless they are like bitter herbs. Okay, because they're already in a broken down form, so they're not like carbohydrates, proteins, fats that need digestion. They don't need the enzymes. So you can take them between a meal. I usually recommend people take them in the morning or in the evening. So in the morning you take stimulating herbs, okay, or things that are going to promote a tonic effect. And at night you take relaxing herbs like nervines that help relax you. And so they don't really interfere with digestion per se, unless you were to take them like directly after a meal or, you know, where you dilute because of too much water. But it's not actually the herb, it's more the water that's causing that effect. So yeah, you can take them between a meal if you need to take them. Yeah, that'd be fine. Yes?
Addressing acid.
Acid. Oh yes, I can get back to that. So different parts of your GI tract have different pH levels, right? So, for example, in your esophagus, it's more alkaline. In your stomach, it's more acidic. All right, usually between 1.5 to 3 pH. And then it goes into your small intestine, which is more alkaline, and then in your large intestine, it's more acidic. So different points in the digestive system, it has different acidity levels, okay? Now, in your blood, it's different. It's 7.35 to 7.45. And so the body has to regulate that with very precise mechanisms. And how it does that is through respiration. It does it through also digestion. And it also uses the kidneys to regulate pH. Now, as long as you have proper breathing, good digestion, and good kidney function, your body will regulate that without having to go out and buy an alkaline machine to alkalize your water, for example. Okay, but if you take a lot of foods that are very acidic in nature, then it will cause the body to deplete its calcium reserves. Okay, to buffer the pH. All right, so that's how the body usually buffers acidity in the blood. It uses calcium. That's the best base element it uses to neutralize because the pH is a lot higher. But if you have good digestion, you don't have to worry about that. Now, how to stimulate better gastric acid using the bitter herbs. That is very helpful for that. Also, betaine hydrochloride, which is from beets. That can also help if you've got poor digestion. And if you've got poor acidity in the stomach, you're going to have poor ability for absorption of nutrition. Okay, so it's very important that you have good nutrition to sustain that. By the way, I didn't mention this before, but my wife has a little page out here. If any of you want to have herbal training, we have an online training course, we have two types. We have one that's for people that just want to learn how to make stuff, right? We have about 70 videos you go through to learn how to do that. And then we have another one that's more ongoing if you want to become a herbalist. We have a course for that. So if you want to continue your training, it never ends when you study herbal remedies. There's always new things to learn. I'm always learning, and when I have questions like you give me, it causes me to go back, learn some more. So feel free to put your name down. We'll contact you if you're interested. And if you want me to come and do a program in the future, another program somewhere, if you're from another area, another church, or got a ladies group, we live about 3 hours away up in Kentucky. We'd be happy to come down and see you sometime. Sorry, I didn't get time, and my saucepan's a bit dirty. I was going to make you a salve as well, but we've run out of time, and the cold is getting colder apparently, right? So we don't want to leave you guys too long so you can get back home without sliding down the hills. So I just want to say thank you all for coming. You've been a great bunch. By the way, I'll be here if you want to talk to me. I'll be the last one to leave. So feel free. And my wife, she's a great resource. And thank you so much for having me, Maria and Pastor David. It's been a blessing to be here.
Thank you for coming.
I appreciate it.
It's been really informative, hasn't it? We really appreciated that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Two things. One, if you are interested in the Depression Recovery Intro tomorrow, by 4 p.m. tomorrow, we'll post on Rogersville SDA Church Facebook. We'll put it on the What Facebook. We'll put it on Mighty, and it will be also on My Rogersville. If we need to cancel it because of the weather, okay? I guess I'll put it either way so that you can just look and find out. If you don't have access to social media, tell me and give me your number, okay? So that we can make sure to call you, okay? And then, what's that other thing? Something else. Oh, yeah. If you enjoy this program, but you miss something in your notes or whatever, go on Rogersville SDA Church Facebook, and it's there, okay? It was live streamed, and you can see it, any of the programs this weekend, okay? So.